Damn, Cause, you got a cowlick going on right now. That's crazy cowlick. That is a crazy.
And you have to cut it. You have to cut it like
Bro,
this,
you look
right?
like
So
you
it's
just
like
listened to like the whole Cure's whole discography. So we're gonna start off new review. It's been a couple years. This week we're reviewing
this week.
Idols Ultramodel 2020 release. I think it was. So Idols is a post-punk, punk rock, post-rock, industrial rock.
Word.
Just everything. Considered by a lot of critics to be their best release, their most complete work, but not by these critics, as you'll soon find out. What? What is going on?
What is happening? Joe's like changing his pants or something. Like
So, what did you guys think about this album when you first listened to it?
When I first listened to this album 5 years ago, it was a surprise. I don't know why. I hadn't heard anything from them before. A bit more abrasive than anything I had listened to recently since probably Clipping.
like heaviest pieces of music I've listened to in a while, like artist rock. I think this album has a lot of positives. I don't really have strong feelings about it.
It was definitely something fresh, something different than what I was listening to. I think my favorite part of the album on first listen and now is just how much it bangs.
And I have not listened to a lot of punk music that has come out in the last 5 years. So
Antiquity arc right there.
yeah, I'm just only listened to
The 808.
This type of music is really good on first listen, and then in subsequent, I felt a little bit the subject matter. How do you feel he approached the subject matter? Was it smart, clever? Obviously, it's very important things he's talking about, but do you think he approached it, a unique way, like on War?
I think I liked it more than I did hate it. He just got that kind of voice. It makes like lyrics really stand out. War, his vocals really bang there, and as well as in the song where he references a lot of pop culture icons. There's like people groping each other and consent. I thought that was a super interesting way to go about that.
It's very like a very punk approach to the subject matter, where he's very passionate about what he's talking about. No touche pas moi, and like anxiety at the second half, where it just like fills up with him saying anxiety over and over. I don't want to say it's something like crazy original or something it's never been done before, but I think it's appropriate and
It's not completely out of left field, but like I think one of my favorite songs was Carcinogenic, and like the way he approached it on that song was also pretty interesting. We are not English, so for us, like a lot of times when we hear those type of accents, like it kind of sticks in our head better. So messages might like land harder.
Like a throaty voice. Like he might be the throat goat.
He could be.
Reigns felt a little bit redundant. I honestly didn't really like Carcinogenic. I feel like, I guess in terms of the subject matter, less about the vocals. I wasn't a huge fan of how he approached, like lyrically, how he approached these topics. I think a song like Ne touche pas moi was very clever and is like a breath of fresh air. Not a lot of songs are about that. And I felt like it was a lot of attitude. And I feel like that album or that song, obviously it's a very important message, but I feel like it could have fell flat on its face because it's like, I feel like it's so easy to make that corny. I don't love the writing style in that it's just very direct. A lot of time he's trying to be antagonistic, but I just don't feel like the way he presents it is super antagonistic of the system. Like it is, but like I'm not listening to this like I'm hearing like, a classic punk song where it's like partly because it's kind of late. So like all these ideas have been done before. The way he put it was very like educational, but I feel like I've already learned the attitude and the type of thing that he's trying to put forward and the type of message.
it's probably not very easy to find a new way to address this subject matter.
This album just stands against everything that I stand for, so it just really stuck out really well.
Maybe a critique or something that I'd like to hear more of, at least in how he approaches the subject matter, is like telling a personal story that's maybe a little less explicitly. Okay, so my next question is more about the song structures, which is actually kind of, I feel like, the main appeal of this.
So loud. Oh my god.
Probably my biggest critique of this album is like the song structure and how one note it is. It's pretty much like you're gonna get after like an 8-bar phrase. It's gonna be like drums. He's gonna start chanting or he's gonna say some remark, and then it's all gonna build up from there. It is juxtaposed by how much like I said before, it grooves. Like it is good to just put a song on and have your head bang to it. Standout guitar riffs were in Grounds, the post-chorus part, and then he was chanting, "Do you hear that front door?" I like that very climactic ending.
Anxiety had a good one.
I liked Model Village. It's very easy to enjoy if you're not paying like your full attention to it, because simply structured and kind of repetitive, fun and energetic songs. So if you just listen to like one song, you're gonna enjoy it. The choruses are big, the guitar riffs are fast.
Yeah, I'd say this album is almost like less than the sum of its parts. You know, like individually you could pick out songs that are always like really, really good and are always gonna bang, like Carlos said. But I think altogether, songs 9 to 12, it's a little bit stale.
I was not a big fan because you could see the punches coming. The formula, I mean, punk is very formulaic. It's very DIY, but then in that way, like a lot of original punk is just short ideas, and then he just like either let a riff just kind of go and be more repetitive and be less like I have to get into this like bridge where I go. Every song, it's just like maybe just don't do that. Shorter songs, just do the riff, just do some things. You don't have to show like how masterful you are at like leading and building into this bridge and then like for the next part. Yeah, I just don't think that every song had enough reason to develop. It's like you just kind of already got, especially because a lot of the songs are like anxiety, like I have anxiety, like it's like pretty like it's not a lot going on, so you don't need to like have another verse, like a third verse.
I think the cool thing they do at the end of that song, which isn't so normal, is it just like keeps building and there's more and more voices saying anxiety. I think it's like kind of a cool effect about the subject matter. It's better because you can
solos in there.
Yeah, solos would be great. Like
I wanted some solos from literally any instrument on this.
Okay, do you agree with the critics that he spoke about on The Lover, putting middle fingers up at the media who's like, but do you agree with the critics who said that it's overly slogan, too many slogans?
I think it's very I think it's a key part of the punk genre. I would personally agree. I would definitely want something more, just not as slogany, to kind of fit with the times.
I find in my own listening, I enjoy the lyrics more when they're not always so direct, trying to understand metaphors and whatnot, and allegories in the lyrics more than just if they're spoon-fed to me.
Not to just like totally shit on like what they're trying to do, because I respect what they're trying to do. They're doing post-punk. It's like rock. They're trying to have like these big like grand bridges every time, and they're trying to have like very straightforward political message. They just these pillars just kind of come together in kind of a clunky way on some songs. Like, especially when there isn't like a super strong, like smart hook. Like on Model Village, I would, if someone thinks that's too much of a slogan, I would disagree. I think that's just like a perfect slogan. That's like the peak of what they're trying to do on a song like Carcinogenic or any of them, where they're just like calling a thing, and it's like a repeatable phrase or whatever. It's just like sanding, a shoe, and it's just like you have no soul at that point. Like it's all gone.
Even maybe like take two songs and take like the two main central themes and just kind of like do two in one song and kind of just cut the weeds out of it.
They have to listen to the Ramones discography for a few days, back to basics, and then come back and make another album.
No. They need to listen to J. Cole's storytelling in order to get this roundabout way.
Yeah, for All Eyes on Me, or no, what is it? For Your Eyes Only. Oh, and okay, just one last fun fact, or maybe something to contend with, is that the leader, I think James Talbot or something, or
Joe Talbot.
And Joe Talbot. Actually, I think there's a quote I found on Wikipedia. It was like, "We're not a fucking punk band." So apparently, he actually doesn't like being labeled a post-punk band.
That sounds like the most
so
punk
what do
thing
you
you could
think
say.
about?
Like,
I mean, yeah, it might be
like
just to
pretentious
troll,
looking.
but I don't know.
Orwellian media.
So, what was your guys' favorite tracks and what tracks did you cut out of the equation?
I'll go with my two favorites are going to be, I'm going to go with Grounds and Ne Touche Pas Moi. And then my cut is going to be The Lover, honestly.
My favorites, my stars, definitely A Hymn. That was my favorite song. And then I think I'll also take Model Village. And then a cut, I think I might cut like Carcinogenic. That one hit the home run with me. Didn't hit one with the home run.
On President's Day.
So if I were to critically analyze this album,
What the
War,
The event
thought
that I
it
was
a
to
really
review.
good.
What'd
I
you
have
say?
written down here great bombastic opening. I like some of the lines like this. That's the sound of the gun shooting. That's the sound of the sword going in. And I'm gonna go with Mr. Motivator because I like all the references. The one that I'm gonna cut, if I were to have, I'm gonna go with Model Village. That one was
Wait, what? My favorite was Model Village. That was to me that was just the best. I actually like Donka. I like the closer. I feel like it was a strong or Dank E or something.
Snare drum.
But I actually felt like it was a strong closer. I feel like it brought. And I would cut The Lover. That song was ass. I hated that song. The Lover was trash.
I'm a lover.
Quit or no?
All right, Recess. Preface: I did listen to the album before this one, maybe a year ago. I think Ultramono was like a relatively safe follow-up. They don't really find any ambition on any of the ideas. I think overall this album bangs heavy with great guitar leads and excellent emotive vocals, and I'm gonna have to give it a 6.3 out of 10.
I hate to agree with Carlos, but I'm going to have to here. I think there's not a really awesome song. There's not a really terrible song. It's all in kind of a tight range. I'm going to give it a 5.5 on my new scale.
I hate Carlos and I hate to agree with Carlos and Evan. It was middle of the road. I definitely will be listening to a few of the songs again just because they are high energy stuff like you can put on a workout playlist or you have to go break into the Capitol or something like that. I don't. So I'm actually going to give this a 6.2 out of 10.
I feel like I've been a little bit hard on this record because Carlos brings up a good point. The leads, the riffs, I feel like the rhythms, I think there was actually a lot of cool percussion. I feel like I wasn't really focusing on that, even though they're not a fucking punk band or whatever. But you know what? I'll give it a 6. I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
That might be the most.
Tatum, just get in the car.
Yeah.
Close
Yeah, I
Close
think
grouping.
well, Be Happening, we would have all given the same score, but I gave it an 8.
Didn't Carlos give it a
The
2?
snare drum on its own sounds like this.
That would be an 8 out of 10 album.
We were a group that
Therefore, it's
discussed
unaspirated
music.
and it's albums.
I don't know
Analytical.
what was going to happen
It sounds quite good on its own.
because we've not been doing that. So if we start